Whoa! I can't believe it, man. Hello and welcome back to Race Streamer. First video of the 2021 season coming your way today, with lots more content coming out in the very near future. First thing for 2021 is getting out in a Rotax Max at Lydd. Hello. Hey. Jumping straight into my first session in anything like this kind of quick kart before. So this is a Birrell chassis running a Rotax Max Evo engine, which puts out considerably more power than any go-kart I've driven before. If you draw up a quick comparison between this and your standard corporate kart like a Sodi RT8, which has got 12 horsepower, it's heavy. This thing is light, it's got 30 horsepower. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel, I've driven in Club 100 for 2 years. I'm used to a Rotax Junior Max engine, which has got 20 horsepower. So this is a humongous step up. And as you can see, I've decided to bring my heavy right foot with me on this test session and just find out very quickly what the kart handles like. Much to a surprise over that brow. As it goes, it doesn't come out on camera, but you're actually fully airborne. All four wheels off the ground. It's absolutely mental. So the first observations that hit me driving this kind of kart for the first time, other than just the sheer straight line capability that it had in terms of speed, is the handling characteristics. They're so different to any corporate kart or Club 100 D-Max that you can drive, just because it's so much lighter and it's on so much stickier tyres. I don't know exactly what tyres that this kart was running, but the cornering capability of it was just immense in comparison to anything I've driven before. Like, you hear stories about drivers really struggling with their necks in these kind of karts, and it's no surprise when you experience the cornering capability of these things. It all falls into place. The second thing that really hits me with this particular engine, though, because it was a Rotax Max Evo with a power valve on it, then when you got to a certain rev range, it was like being kicked in the back. It was so violent, the way that the power was delivered. If you imagine, I guess the closest comparison is if you thought of a 1980s F1 car, like the Brabham BMW that used to run 1500 horsepower or something like that in qualifying trim, and the way that the turbos would come on in that, at least you got a little bit of a surge. It was honestly like someone just unpressed a mute button type thing, and it just went from like no power to all of the power. So throughout the 2 sessions that I had in this kart, the point for improvement was trying to smooth out my driving, because the chassis rewards good driving, unlike that, and trying to keep it within the power band so that way I didn't drop out and lose loads of speed mid-corner. So I'll leave you to this lap here so you can see roughly what happened during the first session. And that's how most of the first session went. It's pretty busy on track. The closing speeds with these karts when someone else is stationary is eye-opening, to say the least. And it gave me a good idea of whether I'd ever like to race on one of these things, which is definitely a no. God, they're so dangerous. You're so exposed. I managed to improve my lap times a fair bit in the second session that I had in this car. I managed to break into the 38, which I was happy with. A few go and look up championship pace at the top nationally, then you're talking 36, high 36s rounds here. So yes, I was a long way off, but I don't care. I was having so much fun in this. And that's the nice thing about these arrive and drive karts that Lydd Kart Shop are offering out. There's no obligation to go quickly, you literally just turn up and experience it. And what I wasn't to know is there was another kind of kart on offer that I would be able to jump into shortly after this. So for anyone that doesn't know, looking at this, with the more sophisticated brakes, it having brakes on all four corners, this is running a Rotax DD2 engine, which means it has gears, as you can see from the pedals behind the steering wheel. So an altogether different machine. It's on a different chassis as well, CRG chassis. So completely different prospect to what we were turning up to drive, but nonetheless managed to have a go. And it has to be said, this is the best handling thing that I drove on this day. It was so well set up, and actually not intimidating to drive in the slightest. So it's still electric start. The gear pedals are, well, easy enough to see. You can see the 1 and the 2 on the steering wheel, so it's pretty self-explanatory. Nice sticky tyres on. The car just needed a little bit of time to warm back up again, but honestly, so approachable. The only thing with this particular car is I was sat so far back, so my arms were basically at full stretch. So if I wasn't already tired after my time driving in the Birrell, I was knackered after this. So the power felt about the same. The handling of the car was more neutral, it wasn't quite as on the front end. Aside from that being a bit leery. Switching up into second gear, oh my god, I mean, I've driven some quick things before, but the pace that you feel in this car, it's utterly addictive. And apart from the fact that you might see me using the gear shifts like a complete spanner for a little bit of this footage, honestly, it was so intuitive to drive. It might be the most fun I've had driving anything ever. It was just such a capable handling machine. Such a pleasure. Can you tell I enjoyed it a bit? You just got to watch this gear change. And it just goes and it doesn't stop. Oh man, what an amazing experience. So I skipped to the final lap of the session because I thought it was a pretty good lap. The time wasn't fab, it was a high 37, but yeah, enjoy.
Wow.
Different, isn't it?
Bloody hell, man.
How much quicker is it than the other one?
Down the straight's a lot, but actually through the corner's about the same.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hello.
How's the shifter car?
Well, my contact lens just fell out, so I think that shows you enough of how hard it was.
Oh, so just like that, the day is already done. I was out for an hour in total, and by Jove, that's enough driving for one day in these. And it's nice actually because it ended up being sessions, so 15 minutes at a time. Big differences in the setup of some of the karts. So the Birrell Rotax Max that I was in at the beginning of the day, and then for the last session, extremely pointy at the front end. I'm going to stand this way so my this doesn't cover my face, but so it was just the tiniest bit of braking that was needed to tuck it into the apex at points, and getting used to the power delivery was quite something because it seemed to actually kick you in the back so hard when it came on power. It was like VTEC times a billion. I started getting the hang of it in the second session that went out in that, but man, the DD2 was something else. Like, you get towards the end of first gear, you flick up and then it goes again. it just doesn't run out of puff. Mental. So it's a pretty fast circuit, Lydd, in any old kart, but by the time you get to the end of the straight in Club 100, you're maxed out about halfway down the straight and it just maintains top speed. Same in Rotax Max. In the DD2, it just doesn't stop accelerating. Absolutely mad. So I hope you all enjoyed the slightly different style of video. This is kind of more what you can expect over the next year. I'll be doing more pieces to camera when there's less hectic days going on. I will see you all again soon for another video along these lines when I have my first MSV Trackday Championship race with Sam Mckee at Donington Park, which is happening in a week. If you like this video, let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more of what's going to be happening, then feel free to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all again soon.